My project was in my GCSE qualification course was, does it matter if you receive encouragement or constructive criticism when playing sport? I chose this project because it involves two of my favourite sports, football and running. And when I've ever played in new sports or sports I play on like Sunday like football, I've always wondered, do I play better to encouragement or constructive criticism? So I've always wondered when I always start a sport, do I like encouragement because I know it helping me to strive better, or constructive criticism because now I'm doing it wrong and help me progress? My hypothesis was to find out, my hypothesis was, I think that children under the age of 12 will perform better to encouragement because they will know they've done something right and will remember that they need to, that they know they've done it right and they need to like almost know that they've already done it right so they can just go on and try and even do it better. Whereas children over the age of 12 will know constructive criticism can help them progress instead of like just encouragement saying, oh, you're doing great. If with constructive criticism, you know how you're doing good, but you know you're doing some things wrong, so you know how to progress better and finally get a good end product. My aim was just basically to find out if my hypothesis was right, and also to find out what I personally are better at receiving constructive criticism and encouragement, so I can help on Sundays to help me in my football, see which one I'm better to. I would run a series of tests, both using sporting techniques, which are foot-eye coordination, which I will be using in my football test, and generally improving of your stamina for the running test. For my method in football, each dot is where they have to hit, so they'll have 3 attempts at hitting each dot. So this is the crossbar, and they'll have 3 attempts using all different types of techniques. So this one will be like a chip, so you're cutting under the balls to get elevation, whereas the top corners and the bottom corners, you would use almost side foot power, but for the top you kind of involve the crossbar into each other. And you would run 3 tests and I would record them down to see what would happen. For the running test, you had to run across the field 6 times, there and back. For the first time, you'd set a benchmark having no encouragement or constructive criticism to help you run. It would just be a test to see what your general stamina was. Then I would put under constructive criticism where I would be telling you how to pace yourself and keep going and not just run for that. Whereas encouragement, I would just tell you you're doing great and keep going on, and so it can help you improve. For my football results, I actually found that my theory was right for constructive criticism and encouragement for the age groups. I found that the people around my age found it better to use constructive criticism because they knew how to progress, whereas my younger brother, who done the test, found it better for encouragement because he knew he was doing it right and he wanted to succeed better. And then I finally did it on an adult, which was my dad, to see what an adult age was, and it actually works out. It can depend on what you feel, because sometimes he was better at encouragement, but sometimes he was better at constructive criticism, and it just showed the older you get, the more laid back you tend to be in sport, and then you're not very bothered about what happens. So encouragement can help you a lot more. For the running test, it didn't matter how old you are or what your physical ability was in running. Everyone's always felt better in encouragement. I think this is because that when you're encouraged in running, you tend to have more will to go further and try and improve your general time, whereas in constructive criticism, you're kind of told to pace yourself, so you want to hold back, but yet go on forwards. So I always felt that encouragement was better. Was my theory right? In the football test, it was right, I think, spot on that the age groups would do better because of constructive criticism would help progress, whereas encouragement would help younger children know what to do better. But with encouragement for the running, I think it's because it's a bigger motivator, so you always want to carry on and keep going, whereas constructive criticism may hold back for the final ones. And here's me doing the test with live action. So this is the football one, this is encouragement and constructive criticism. I kind of showed them what to do, but encouragement, he would do it, and then I would just help him like a few steps. I wouldn't tell him how to do it, whereas kind of constructive criticism, I'd help change his technique, and that's what I do now. Got questions?
I've got several questions. First of all, with your running tests,
Yeah.
did you do all 3 tests one after each other?
No, we had a 5-minute break, so they have time to get back to normal heart rate and then go.
Okay, and why did you do that?
Because it's not really bad. If you set the benchmark and you get like a really fast one, for instance, like 1 minute 15 seconds, your body will need time to recuperate over to get back to normal standard to do another test, otherwise it becomes unfair. And you could do really bad on the next one, and then it just puts the whole thing out of the whole test out of the way, and it doesn't work in a way.
Also, you've done 2 very different elements. So you've done fitness, running, and you've done a technical skill. Right? Do you reckon, take away the age groups, do you reckon those 2 different categories affect what sort of feedback you give to people?
I think the feedback would be the same most of the time, because I just think that the encouragement for the running, it will always be a bigger motivator, and it doesn't matter if you're like 9, 7, 15 or even 30. You always want something to help you progress in running. You don't want like someone to tell you slow down and pace yourself. Whereas in the football, I think it just also affects your general ability in football, because you could be naturally good, but then you could also be a hard worker. And then the hard worker can normally pay out because they'll understand how the constructive criticism will help you. Whereas the natural ability, it just might be encouragement because you know you're doing well. And there's no point in people telling you if you're doing well, you're doing it wrong. You just might as well just want to get encouragement to help you get better.
Do you think gender would have affected your results?
I think it depends, because like in the running aspect, I think no, it would make no difference. But I think in the football, it depends how much sport they would play. So if it just was a girl has found, who doesn't play football in her life, it might be a bit one-sided because she might prefer the encouragement. Whereas if it's a girl who's played football, for instance, like from a very young age, and brought up around it, she might do better for constructive criticism because she knows the basics, and then she knows how it can progress her and become better. Whereas encouragement, when you haven't played before, you can just oh, you're doing good, try this, and then hopefully it all gets better.
So initially you're arguing that encouragement is what people need at the beginning.
If you're first time sport, I would probably go for encouragement. And then once you've got the grasp of like the basic techniques, then go into constructive criticism, because then it will help you even further, whereas encouragement
so it won't send you backwards.
Yeah. So like with what Aaron done with rugby, if I was playing rugby for the first time, I always prefer encouragement instead of constructive criticism, because we don't want to get told you're doing it wrong straight away. It will just put you off.
Did you find any literature on it?
Pardon?
Did you find any literature on it? Any research prior?
Me and my dad, we were looking, because I was doing the project, and we were both looking at before we were just doing about the test. And we went on YouTube and saw and I spoke with my manager as well for football. We both saw a few tests what we could do, and it would come up with a basic, and then we researched it a bit more Google about these tests, and then we worked out what kind of skills and elements you would need for them. So with the running, well, you can only do really running, but with the football, we kind of looked up okay, for the crossbar, chip it, for the top corners, try and curl it high and get some elevation, and the bottom corners, sometimes as a pass in. And when we spoke with my manager, he just said if you want to do the crossbar and the top corner test, just do all the elements properly, and don't say, oh, you're doing it wrong straight away. Do the encouragement test first, because then you can see how good their ability in sports actually is. Because then if you do constructive criticism first, they might be a bit downhearted for the encouragement, whereas the encouragement they'll still have a lot of and there'll be a more energetic side to them when they do the next test.
Human nature.
Did you find it hard to differentiate and give the feedback? So when you were doing just constructive criticism?
Yeah, I found it very hard in the running, because there's only a few words that you can say, and you can't go on to the encouragement side, because then that's encouragement.
Yeah.
So when you like say pace yourself, slow down, try and like regain like to a steady beat, like a running beat, then that's the only things you could say. That's why research that. Whereas encouragement, you can just say keep going, you're nearly there. And then,
Cool. Thanks, mate.